Imagine a city, once so powerful and prosperous it was, compared to India's greatest industrial hubs. A city with its own sprawling network of factories, its own meticulously planned residential colonies, its own schools, hospitals, exclusive clubs, and even its own private airfield and railway line. Now imagine that same city as a ghost town. Its towering chimneys, once symbols of progress, stand silent against the sky. Its massive factories, once thrumming with activity, are now crumbling ruins being reclaimed by nature. Its once bustling streets are deserted, echoing with the ghosts of a glorious past. This isn't the plot of a dystopian novel. It is the very real and very tragic story of Dalmianagar, an industrial metropolis in the heart of Bihar that rose to incredible heights only to suffer one of the most spectacular falls in India's corporate history. This is a cautionary tale of ambition, prosperity, and the devastating decay that followed. The saga begins in the early 1930s with a visionary industrialist named Krishna Dalmia, a towering figure in 20th century Indian business and the founder of the Dalmia Group. He looked at a cluster of sleepy villages along the Sun River in what was then the Shahabad district of Bihar, and he saw what no one else did, the crucible for an industrial dream. The location was a masterstroke of strategic planning. It was situated right next to the historic Grand Trunk Road, had access to a major railway line for transporting goods across the country, and was surrounded by the abundant natural resources of the region, including limestone and water from the river. This was the perfect place to build an empire from scratch. In 1933, Rotas Industries Limited was officially born, and with its birth came the conception of the town that would bear its founder's name, Dalmianagar. The very first piece of this colossal industrial puzzle was a sugar factory. The scale of ambition was evident from day one. The heavy machinery required for this facility wasn't sourced locally. It was imported all the way from Glasgow, Scotland, a global center for engineering. This was just the beginning of a phenomenal, lightning-fast expansion. Under the stewardship of Krishna Dalmia, his younger brother, Jaidayal Dalmia, and his brilliant son-in-law Sahu Shanti Prasad Jain, Dalmianagar grew at a pace that was simply astonishing for its time. In 1938, a state-of-the-art cement factory was added to the complex. Its machinery, again sourced from the best in the world, came from Denmark. Its inauguration was not a small local affair. It was officiated by one of the most charismatic and prominent figures in India's freedom struggle, Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. The very next year, in 1939, another key factory was added, this one for paper manufacturing. Its inauguration was officiated by Babu Rajendra Prasad, who would later become the first president of independent India. This event was a significant boost to the nationwide Swadeshi movement, which championed the cause of self-reliance and Indian-made goods. Dalmianagar was becoming a patriotic symbol. Soon after, a chemical factory began operations, initially producing essentials like caustic soda and bleaching powder, before expanding its portfolio to include hydrochloric acid and liquid chlorine. In just a few years, Dalmianagar transformed from an empty patch of land into one of the largest and most diverse industrial centers in the entire country. The complex wasn't just focused on one industry. Its factories churned out sugar, cement, paper, and chemicals, but also vanaspati, a vegetable-based cooking fat, as well as asbestos sheets, steel tubing, and a specialized material known as vulcanized fiber. At its absolute zenith, Dalmianagar was a powerhouse, a true symbol of India's nascent industrial might, earning frequent and deserved comparisons to Jamshedpur, the legendary steel city built by the Tata Group. The town itself sprawled across an impressive 3,800 acres and provided direct employment to over 22,000 people, supporting hundreds of thousands more in the surrounding region. But Dalmianagar was engineered to be more than just a collection of factories. It was a meticulously planned, completely self-sustaining township. Life for an employee was unlike anything available in rural Bihar at the time. The company built a vast housing colony with quarters for workers of all levels. There were verdant, manicured gardens, exclusive clubs for recreation, and modern hospitals providing free healthcare. For the children of its employees, there were reputable schools and even colleges. Bustling market complexes catered to every daily need. The prosperity of Rotas Industries was so immense, its operations so grand, that it even owned a private Beechcraft aircraft and maintained a small airfield near the town for its top executives. Adding another feather to its cap was the Derry Rotas Light Railway. Initially a tramway company, it was acquired and integrated into the industrial complex, facilitating the seamless transport of raw materials, finished goods, and people, further embedding Dalmianagar into the economic fabric of the nation. For a few glorious decades, it was a thriving, self-contained utopia. However, this golden era was not destined to last forever. The mid-1960s and early 1970s marked the beginning of a long, painful, and inexorable decline. It wasn't a single event, but a toxic confluence of factors, external and internal, that began to eat away at the very foundations of this industrial empire. First, the world outside the factory gates grew hostile. The law and order situation across the state of Bihar began to deteriorate sharply. The rise of the Naxalite movement, a radical leftist insurgency, and a parallel increase in caste-based violence created an environment of profound instability and fear. This climate was poison for industry, making it nearly impossible to guarantee the safety of personnel and assets, let alone attract new investment for growth. Simultaneously, the internal harmony that had made Dalmianagar so productive began to fray. Labor union issues became frequent and increasingly volatile. These disputes were often hijacked and manipulated by individuals for personal and political gain, leading to a crippling cycle of strikes, go-slow agitations, and complete work stoppages that hammered productivity and profitability. This internal strife was compounded by a more sinister threat: the rise of an audacious local mafia. Criminal gangs began to indulge in dacoity and, most terrifyingly, the kidnapping of company executives for ransom. The climate of terror they created led to a mass exodus of talent. Experienced engineers, skilled managers, and other professionals began to leave Dalmianagar as they no longer felt safe for themselves or their families. This brain drain of essential human capital was a devastating blow from which the company would never fully recover. As if these problems weren't enough, mismanagement began to set in at the top. As the visionary founder Ramkrishna Dalmia's active involvement decreased with age, his successors struggled to navigate the increasingly complex challenges. Financial woes, once unthinkable, started to mount. Rotas Industries began to default on massive electricity bills owed to the State Electricity Board, leading to power cuts that further disrupted production. Worse still, the company became irregular in paying salaries and wages to its thousands of employees. This created a vicious cycle of worker discontent, which fueled more labor unrest, further damaging the company's ability to function. The first major domino to fall was the original sugar mill. In 1968, it was shut down permanently, rendering 500 workers jobless. While the company managed to absorb many of the permanent employees into its other, still-functioning units, the closure was a dark omen. It was the first crack in the mighty dam, a sign that the foundations of Dalmianagar were beginning to crumble. The vibrant, thriving city was beginning to falter, and a sense of dread began to creep in. The final catastrophic death knell sounded on July 9, 1984. On that fateful day, all the remaining factories of Rotas Industries Limited were shut down. The once mighty industrial heart of Dalmianagar, which had thrummed with life for half a century, stopped beating. The closure brought the entire town to a grinding, shocking halt. In an instant, over 12,000 workers were unemployed. The shutdown plunged the entire region into economic despair. The company was eventually forced into liquidation by the courts, leaving behind a bitter legacy of unpaid dues, pensions, and gratuities to its thousands of former employees, and a landscape of silent, decaying factories. In the decades that have followed, Dalmianagar has become a ghost of its former self. The proud industrial town is now a deserted landscape of ruins, a haunting, real-world monument to Bihar's deindustrialization. The human cost has been immeasurable and has spanned generations. The plight of the former workers and their families is a long and arduous story of hardship. In a particularly cruel twist of fate, in 2023, the Patna High Court ordered the eviction of all residents from the 471 company quarters. Many of these families have lived in these homes for generations. They are the children and grandchildren of the original workers who have known no other home. This legal order, intended to clear the way for the company's land to be auctioned off to pay its creditors, has created a new and desperate humanitarian crisis for thousands of people facing homelessness. Over the years, there have been several sporadic and ultimately futile attempts to revive Dalmianagar's fortunes. In the 1990s, the Bihar government made an effort to restart the cement factory. The plant sputtered back to life, but the effort was short-lived, and it shut down again after just 2 years, unable to overcome the systemic issues that plagued the region. A more significant attempt came in 2007, when Indian Railways acquired 219 acres of land from the liquidated Rotas Industries. The proposal was ambitious: to build a modern factory to manufacture freight bogies for the railway network. The foundation stone for a high-axle bogie and coupler manufacturing unit was even laid in a high-profile ceremony in 2008. But the project soon became mired in controversies and bureaucratic inertia. It never took off. Today, the land acquired by the railways also lies abandoned, with pieces of rusting machinery as the only evidence of yet another failed revival. The story of Dalmianagar also became a recurring theme in political discourse. During every election campaign, politicians would visit the desolate town and make grand, emotional promises of its revival, tapping into the deep well of nostalgia and desperation among the local population. But once the votes were cast and the elections were over, these promises would invariably fade away, leaving the people feeling even more bitter, used, and abandoned. Is there any hope left for this industrial ghost town? Perhaps a tiny glimmer. In early 2025, the Bihar government announced new plans to rejuvenate industrial activity in the Dairy Dalmianagar area. It has identified approximately 250 acres of land for new industrial development, with the stated aim of creating new job opportunities and finally bringing back the region's lost glory. But after 4 decades of false starts and broken promises, one has to view this new plan with caution. What will be different this time to ensure it doesn't meet the same fate as all the attempts that came before? Today, Dalmianagar stands as a powerful and poignant reminder of how quickly industrial fortunes can change, and the devastating, long-lasting human cost left in the wake of such a collapse. Its crumbling walls and silent machinery are more than just relics of a forgotten industrial past. They are a testament to the dreams that were built and shattered within its precincts. The rise and fall of Dalmianagar is not just a local tragedy. It is a vital chapter in the larger story of India's industrial journey, a cautionary tale about the complex and fragile interplay between economic ambition, political will, and social stability. It is a lesson written in rust and ruins,